In this video, I am going to explain 3 key muscles for round butt. If you are male, these muscles are good for strong lower extremities. If you are female, they are good for your sexy round butt. Let me start from this muscle. This is like the biggest muscle in human body. This is gluteus maximus. Gluteus maximus. This is literally the butt muscle. Let me explain its attachment. It attaches to sacrum, to pelvis. Let's say sacrum and pelvis. This is origin. Then the other side attachment is called insertion. Its insertion is this connective tissue. Iliotibial band, and the lower part is gluteal tuberosity. Gluteal tuberosity. This separation is very important. Let's separate this muscle for 2 parts. Like this. This is upper fiber. This is lower fiber. Why is that important? I think more important part is upper part. Imagine this is your gluteus maximus upper part. If this part is trained, if this part gets more volume, that creates more kind of round shape, the contour of your hip joint. I do not say lower fiber is not important. This is as equally important as upper fiber. However, in terms of round butt, I think upper fiber is more important. I am not talking about functional thing. I am talking about good looking muscle. Anyway, this is gluteus maximus. But how do you train this muscle? The key movement is hip extension. What is hip extension? Okay, this is profile view. Again, this is gluteus maximus. This muscle contracts during extension. Extension is you bring your leg backward. This movement is hip extension. So when do you use hip extension? The most famous movement is squat. Okay, I will draw some picture. Okay, this is spine, this is head, this is pelvis, then it's like that. This is knee. This part is gluteus maximus. Then from squat position to standing position, gluteus maximus needs to contract. This is hip extension. So when you want to train gluteus maximus, the best way is squat. Literally, this is very good exercise. Gluteus maximus extension. Then if this part gets bigger and bigger and bigger, literally that can create round butt. Gluteus maximus, very important muscle. Next muscle is slightly smaller compared to gluteus maximus, yet this is also important. Next muscle is this one. This is gluteus medius. Gluteus medius. It's literally middle size of butt muscle. I was talking about gluteus maximus. This is the key for round butt. But gluteus medius is also important. I was talking about gluteus maximus. This muscle is important for kind of a front and back volume of your butt. This is very big. If this muscle gets bigger, that creates more like a three-dimensional hip, particularly for anterior and posterior dimension, front back dimension. Does it make sense? This muscle is on lateral part of pelvis and hip. Okay, lateral part of pelvis and hip, like this. So when this muscle is trained and get bigger, that creates side to side volume. You see, you need to train this part because there's no gluteus maximus at this level. Thus, you need to train gluteus medius for more round butt. I keep repeating, gluteus maximus is important for anterior posterior dimension, front to back depth. Therefore, gluteus medius is important for side to side volume. Very important muscle. Then how can you train this muscle? This muscle contracts when you do abduction. Abduction is you open leg to outside. This movement is called abduction. So gluteus maximus was hip extension, bring leg backward. Abduction is you bring leg to lateral way. Okay, gluteus medius, important for side to side volume, side to side dimension. This is number 2. Number 3 is not particularly butt muscle. However, it's important to create better butt. Number 3 is muscle group, which is this one. This is hamstrings. Hamstrings. This is not butt muscle, so that doesn't relate to the volume of butt. However, this muscle is important to create volume around here. It's like a valley of your hip joint. Let's go to profile picture. Again, this is profile picture. This is gluteus maximus. This is hamstrings. I was talking about gap between glutes and hamstrings. Here, this is like a valley between gluteus maximus and hamstrings. Now let's say you train hard for gluteus maximus. You got big, good gluteus maximus. However, you have never done hamstrings training. What's going to happen? Your hamstrings might be thin, relatively thin compared to gluteus maximus. What happens to this gap? Its depth in its volume is less, correct? What happens if you train for hamstrings and you get more volume? What's going to happen to gap here? It's going to create good deep depth, right? Then relatively your butt looks bigger. Why? Because there is depth between hamstrings and gluteus maximus. You know what I'm talking about? If your hamstrings was very thin, you would not get the deep depth here. But if your hamstrings is very bigger, you get deeper and better valley here. That is why hamstrings is not particularly glute muscle, but it makes your gluteus maximus relatively bigger and good contour of lower part of fiber. That is why hamstrings is important to make your butt better. So I explained 3 muscles for round butt. First muscle is gluteus maximus. That's important for front back dimension, front back depth. Number 2, gluteus medius. This is key for side to side dimension. The last one is hamstrings. This is important for creating gap between gluteus maximus and hamstrings. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button. comment, and subscribe. See you next video.